I'm very happy to report that we're definitely witnessing the end of the deep state and, believe it or not, the end of the US empire. So, guys, what I want you to do to sort of set the scene is imagine that it's 50 years in the future and you're looking back and you're thinking about the fall of the deep state or the end of the US empire. So, guys, in order to do this successfully, you're going to need to examine things sort of in reverse. In other words, you're going to need to consider how a generation that's born 30 years from now, guys, a generation who are free from MK mind control, one where the legacy mainstream media has literally died under the unbearable weight of the truth, one where they no longer, in other words, these folk would no longer be poisoned by everything in the environment, from all the toxins and things they put in our food to fluoride in our water to everything in our environment. I mean, even our deodorants were poisoned. So imagine a group 30 years from now. They're 20 years old. They're looking back and they're having a look at what went down. And can you imagine one also where people are healthy? You know, they're all very, very healthy and they have a functional pineal gland. So imagine a world like that. Imagine a 20-year-old looking back on what's going on right now. So, as you can imagine, guys, history will demonstrate the unbelievable way how people not only accepted this unfathomable amount of horrors, but the part I think that they're really going to struggle with is they're going to wonder how these same folk that were enslaved, that were exposed to all of these absolute horrors of people are going to wonder, why did those people not work to stop the horrors, but rather were even complicit in that they worked to shame people around them into, I mean, my own mother-in-law was basically shamed into going. A lady that came to visit her actually sat in her kitchen and literally screamed and shouted at her until she acquiesced and went and got it done. I mean, guys, it's insane. And what I'm saying is in the future, when we look back on this, what are those 20-year-olds going to think? And maybe that's setting the tone for how you should start acting right now. Because imagine that 20-year-olds looking back on what you're doing right now. What would they think about the fear that you're experiencing? Or should I rather say the fear you're allowing yourself to experience, or the anger that you're experiencing? Because remember, guys, 50 years from now, that anger and fear is not going to matter. But right now, it makes a massive, massive difference, guys. So imagine, guys, that it is that 30 years from now, and these are the unbelievable themes that you'll be examining, guys. Can you imagine we actually allowed this to happen? The deep state, guys, created. How did we allow that to happen? Were we asleep at the wheel? How about the deep state then created the unbelievable to do stop Donald Trump from being re-elected. We allowed that to happen, guys. This deep state then used that how the heck did we fall for this? Were we asleep at the wheel? Guys, it wasn't like there was an alternate search engines out there. Of course, if you looked on Google or you looked in Wikipedia, of course you'd find the narrative they wanted you to find. But guys, there are so many alternate search engines. And what I'm really appealing to you to do is to stop just accepting that authority is truth. Start exploring, start examining, start asking those questions. And guys, stop looking on Google and start looking in alternate places. In fact, there's many people, myself amongst them, we've created online resources with all of the proof, with all of the information that you need. Guys, you don't even need to go and do this. But if you are a nerd like myself and you really want to go and prove it and you want to find the information yourself, guys, myself and many, many, many other folks like me have made it really easy. I've got 14 different alternate search engines that give you completely different information to what you traditionally expect to find on Google. And plus, just to make it even easier, I've given you 83 search terms, which just go through the search terms. I mean, work through it systematically. You will be shocked at what you're actually going to discover, guys, at the depravity, at how we have fallen for the most fraudulent system that you can ever imagine, that we have effectively been using counterfeit money since 1913, that every single time a child is born, that child gets warded to the state. Guys, when you start realizing just how diabolical all these systems are, and the part that's really the most concerning to me is, how the hell did we allow it? It's that ridiculous, guys. And so we need to get past all of this stuff. We need to realize, or should I rather say, we need to project ourselves 50 years into the future and actually imagine yourself looking back, or imagine a 20-year-old looking back at this fiasco of how we're allowing this stuff. Guys, just here in South Africa, they try to impose this whole ridiculous tollgate system where 80% of the money was going to go towards the administration of the system and 20% of the money was going to go towards actually financing the roads. Well, guys, we as humanity said, hell no. And as a result, I think we're probably, about 12 years later, and they still haven't managed to impose toll gates on us. So what we really need to realize as humanity is, as long as we create a united front, as long as we stand together and we're not black against white, Muslim against Christian, man against woman, as long as we're standing and we remember that we are one species, we are Terrans from Earth, and we stand together as Terrans. Yes, you may be a Terran with a dark complexion, or a Terran with a pink complexion, or a Terran with a red complexion, but at the end of the day, guys, we are all Terrans. And as long as we stand together, nothing, no thing can stop us. Nothing can stop us from moving from this place, this construct of war and famine and lack that we hate, and allow us to move really quickly, to move in a positive direction towards love, unconditional love, happiness, peace, and abundance for everybody. Guys, there's no need for one person to be starving on this planet, guys. So imagine 50 years from now, guys, these folks will be shaking their heads in disbelief at how anyone and any group could have fallen for any of this nonsense, guys. Why did we fall for it? Why are we? In fact, guys, we have the benefit of hindsight right now. Think about what you're allowing. Are you still paying taxes? Guys, taxes are illegal. We need to take a stand. We need to stand up as a unified humanity, as a unified group of Terrans, and we need to stand against this tyranny, guys, because the moment we stand together, nothing can get in our way. So here's what I suggest, guys. So as you sort of chart your path through the next 6 to 12 months, it might be quite a tumultuous time, but I think it's also going to be an amazing time. It's going to be a jubilee year where I believe that because of Jasara and because of the fact that these guys have been running this criminal fiat banking system where they've been charging compound interest, which is illegal. So bottom line is, at minimum, there's talk that all debt will be allowed. That's credit card debt, mortgages, overdrafts, etc. But is that fair and equitable? So at least, like I say, it's possible that all fiat debt may be allowed, but more likely, and guys, I think we're all guessing at this at the moment. I don't have definitive information, but it's just a gut feel that at worst, you will be paid back all of the interest that you've ever paid in your life. And the reason for that, guys, it is completely illegal. So, guys, as you chart your path through the next 6 to 12 months, what I suggest is you arm yourself with this resource of hindsight. In other words, as you chart your path into 2023, just imagine for a moment what actions you would have loved to have taken had you had the benefit of hindsight. In other words, you're sitting here right now with the benefit of being able to take those actions, guys. So imagine, project yourself, sit here today and project yourself into the future, 50 years into the future, and imagine that you're looking back to today. What would you have done differently, guys? Would you have liked to experience more or less fear? I'm sure all of us would definitely want to experience less fear. So if you want to experience less fear, then you need to ask yourself the next question. If I want to experience less fear, what do I need to do? What needs to happen in my specific circumstances? What can I do right now so that I'll experience less fear. So, for example, what I'm suggesting, guys, is maybe if you invest a little bit more time to conduct more research, as I said, conduct more research, but more research using those non-Google search engines, because as you better inform your opinion, guys, knowledge is strength. Guys, once you understand, and I must be honest, my own experience can speak to this, is as I've invested more and more time into uncovering the truth, because really there is only one truth, is uncovering the truth. It's been like this massive load has lifted off my shoulders, and I want the same for you, and it's really not that difficult. Yes, it does take a little bit of time, but there are shortcuts, guys. So if you are short of time, and I know a lot of people are short of time, if you are short of time, guys, there's people like myself and many other people who have got the time, who do the research. So we've created, I mean, in my case, I've created an entire online resource, and I'd be thumb-sucking if I said, guys, it could be 200 videos at least, or less. I haven't counted, but it's a lot of videos. I made a lot of videos, and I've tried to look at examining everything from the difference between the Great Reset or the Great Awakening to this monumental discussion. At that, I've looked at examining common law, understanding what is common law, what is natural law, what are inalienable rights, so you can go through and develop an understanding of that. I've gone through everything. I've even looked at making different interpretations of how to look at the news, all the news behind the news, because we know the mainstream media, that legacy mainstream media, does not present the news. What they do is they present a narrative. Why? Because that narrative pushes humanity, creates a specific perceptual background for humanity, and whatever that perception is, that combined collective perception, that drives the choices that humanity makes, and ultimately those choices push us onto the least optimal timelines for us, i.e. timelines of war, famine, lack, etc., instead of if we had a different perception. In other words, there was a different flow of information, which the white hats are working really hard at the moment to do, is to create a different flow of information to feed us way more positive information, so that positive information, guys, turns into a different background. In other words, a whole lot of it creates a different perceptual construct for the collective consciousness of humanity, and that basically that different perception drives different choices, and ultimately, guys, we gradually start to move on to more and more optimal timelines, guys. So what I recommend, guys, is there's in that resource, I've also gone into having a look at what do you need to do to optimize your health. Drinking fluoride-free water, eating organic food, trying to cut out flesh, sun gazing, grinding yourself every single day, meditating, praying, etc. So guys, what I've done in that resource is I've literally listed it and explained exactly my process, the journey that both Jen and I have taken. And guys, use it. It really, it can just act as a catalyst. As you know, each of our journeys are different. So your journey is going to be different to mine. But if my journey can just serve as a kind of a catalyst to start your journey, because your journey is different. I mean, as the Buddha said, he said, every single journey towards enlightenment, or there are as many journeys towards enlightenment as there are people on the planet, because everybody's journey is different. But guys, if we can help you in any small way to start your journey or to initiate your journey, because that's what this is all about, that's what these videos are about, is to support, to encourage, to help people to see that things aren't as bad as they appear, guys. Nothing is as it seems. And in fact, we've been living in an illusion for a very, very long time. The news that we've been fed has all been about creating a narrative to drive us in a certain direction, guys. So we've been living in lies for a long time. So it's really time for us to wake up, because it really is time to wake up, to break that MK mind control, and for us to make better choices, to do the research, to work on ourselves, on our health, etc. Guys, we also need to find innovative ways, guys, to give something back to humanity. Because remember, the future of humanity is not about me and what I can get and what I can accumulate. The future of humanity is about sharing and caring and unconditional love. And me waking up every day determined to help you to be the best you can be. And imagine, guys, you wake up every day and you try to do everything possible to make me as successful. Can you imagine what a beautiful world that's going to be? Guys, the other thing you can do is you want to feel gratitude every day. When you feel gratitude, guys, gratitude is the precursor to unconditional love. So as we shift, as we move down that path towards unconditional love, wake up every day and find things to be grateful for. Even if those things that you're grateful for is just the fact that you can take a breath of air, is just the fact that you can drink some water out of a tap. Guys, there's always something to be grateful for. So find something to be grateful for and use that as a base, as a foundation, and build from that. And every day, try to find more and more ways, more things to be grateful for. Because, guys, ultimately what we want to do is we want to wake up every day and we no longer want to just get through our day, because that's how we've been living. We've been in a job just over broke. We've been doing just enough not to get fired. Guys, I'm challenging you. I'm saying stop doing just enough to get through your day. Wake up every day and make a better decision, guys. And let's ask this question: what can I get from my day today? And every single day, guys, make sure that you get at least one really massive thing from your day and work towards. My goal at the moment is I'm now trying to see if I can do 5, at minimum 5 things. Guys, I'd be lying if I said I'm there, but I'm trying, guys. You know what they say? Set yourself goals, and if you fail successfully. You know what I'm saying? So try, get 3, get 4, get 5. So aspire every day to ask that better question: what can I get from my day, guys? And then look around your world and search for those new sources of truth. Guys, what you want to do is you want to feed your mind with as much of a positive narrative as you possibly can. So find the truth, find out what reality is. Most certainly get away from that propaganda machine, that monstrous propaganda machine called the legacy mainstream media. Guys, I promise you, I assure you, they are feeding you nothing but lies. And you don't have to look very hard. Like I said, there's 14 search engines that I've discovered, and those search terms, that is going to help you. That'll kind of set the foundation. And if you don't have time to do that, guys, like I said, people like myself, and I'm not the only one, I've created an online resource where I've used one of my old sales training sites where I've made all the sales training free. So if you're still living in that 3D world and you'd like to get some free sales training, guys, it's available. But most importantly, guys, we've created this portal where gradually over time, sort of over the last 2-3 years, I've been populating this online training process, I guess, with all the information that I believe will help to awaken people, will help to break the fear, will help to break the cycle of anger, will help to support us to start learning a more positive narrative. In other words, not a more positive narrative, but the more positive narrative that is the truth, that is driven by the truth. Guys, if you really need to find, I've got resources there where it's got proof. But like I say, guys, everything, just put in the heading as the search and you can go and find all of this information yourself. Bottom line is, guys, we need to stop the cycle of fear, the cycle of anger. We need to stop acquiescing and accepting that that we're on a railway line and nothing can change. Guys, we can shift timelines at the drop of a hat. All we've got to do is we have got to find a better narrative and a better way, a more positive narrative that shifts the collective perceptive consciousness of humanity more positively. And we as humanity will gradually start shifting onto those way, way more positive timelines, right? So, guys, what can we expect to start happening now in the new year? Guys, I believe we are so close to the end of the fiat petrodollar. I mean, China has been working really hard. They've literally dumped all of their dollars. Russia's dumping all of their dollars. Japan's not far behind. I mean, Japan just towards the end of last year dumped over $100 billion of dollars. And believe me, they're not the only countries doing it. So the world is working really, really hard to finally break the control that the petrodollars had over the world, and I believe they're doing it very successfully. The next thing, guys, is the imminent, and if you really go and have a look, guys, the stock exchange has imploded, but just because the mainstream media hasn't reported it, we all believe that it hasn't imploded. The stock exchange is done. So both the stock exchange and bond markets are done, guys. What we also seen a lot of, and it started with the BRICS, the 5 BRICS countries, and now has expanded into virtually every country around the world, is we have now the introduction of gold-backed currencies all around the world. I mean, virtually every country, even the USA, on the 23rd of October last year, voted on the return to the gold standard. It's incorrect, but basically what they're saying is even the US dollar will be gold backed in the future. Guys, we're also introducing, and I mean, in South Africa at the moment, I've heard all sorts of people who've asked questions of their bank tellers, etc., and all of them have now admitted that there is a new financial ledger system which is based on quantum technology. So everybody's been trained up on this new system, and gradually the system has been introduced in all the banks. And if that is in South Africa, that's obviously going to mean South Africa, Angola, Mozambique, Zimbabwe, Botswana, etc. All of those countries, guys, we all work on one system. We all sell stuff and we share products, etc. So that banking system is now in place for sure in all of those countries, and definitely in all of the BRICS countries, guys. Imminent as well is there's a case that's going before the Supreme Court on the 6th of January, and I'm very sure that that case will be successful. If it's not, guys, then I think there is going to be a kinetic element to remove that the US of, I'm going to be extreme here. I don't think January, but I'm going to say February. I reckon January will by the end of January he'll be gone. There'll also be the end of the war between Russia and Ukraine. I mean, Russia has just increased the size of their active military from 1.1 to 1.5 million, which is definitely a big enough force to take on the Ukraine, especially seeing as though NATO, guys, has been rather naughty. And NATO has not only been sending weapons to the Ukraine, but they've also been sending troops, etc. So, guys, there's also a possible short-term escalation of the war, guys. And this is a possible, again, this is unconfirmed information, but NATO, guys, is also going to try to enter the war in the Ukraine, and it appears that it might happen through that Norway, Sweden, etc. And then, guys, amazingly, this has been announced, but I believe it's going to be finalized, is we'll finally see the bankruptcy of BlackRock and Vanguard, which is basically the mainstays of the deep state. Those two organizations, I mean, they only started in sort of the late 80s, and yet they controlled most of the bonds and stocks around the world. Then we're also going to see, guys, and this is imminent, is the collapse of at least the collapse of the legacy mainstream media, guys. And this collapse it's just inevitable as this avalanche of truth seems to be coming out, guys. It's coming out daily, and the mainstream media is, as you know, they're already on the ropes. I mean, they can't even get 100,000 people to view their shows at the moment. So the legacy media, the mainstream media is gone. It'll also be, guys, the beginning, and I believe that sort of towards the middle of next year, we're going to have the beginning of public tribunals for very, very as they, over the years, have tried to impose this ridiculous criminal enslavement system on humanity, guys. And obviously, D-Class is going to continue. I mean, it's been very clever the way they've done it with. There's going to be a lot more whistleblowers, etc., that are going to start coming out, giving us a lot of inside information on the Five Eyes. That's the CIA, FBI from the USA, MI6 from UK, and then, of course, Australia, New Zealand, and Canada. So basically, guys, all of that's going to come out. And most importantly, and this excites me dramatically, guys, is the public announcement of Jasara. Because once the public announcement of Jasara is out, the clock starts and amazing things start to happen. We have to have elections within 120 days, all fiat debt. Well, we're definitely going to get there's going to be a jubilee of some description. I'm not exactly certain. Things went very, very quiet. At one stage, you could find this information, but sort of over the last 6 months or so, finding info on Jasara has been pretty difficult, right? So basically, guys, finally we believe that the time that the White Hats will continue their operations behind closed doors, I think that time is over. So going forward, we believe that there's going to be a whole lot more transparency from the good guys as they wrap up the 4th phase of this transdimensional war. So let me just remind you what those phases are. Right? So phase 1 was basically where they prepared the way for President Trump to be elected elected president of the USA. Basically, the US military was about to conduct a coup d'etat in 2014 because what Barack Obama had planned for the USA, followed on by Hillary Clinton, the 16 years of devastation, where they were basically looking to reduce the world population to a manageable level of 500 million, is denoted on the Georgia Guidestones, which were destroyed last year. So basically, guys, what they did as well was they prepared the way for him. And what was fantastic is just prior to Donald Trump's inauguration, there was the removal of the head of the snake on the 25th of December 2016, just prior to President Trump's inauguration on the 20th of January 2017. What they did was they had a coordinated effort between 17 different special forces from 17 different countries, and I believe that they took out all of the 13. Then phase 2 was using the powers once President Trump got elected, was you use the powers of the president to start making those major positive moves to start draining the swamp very, very successfully, guys. So as you chart your own path, guys, as you go, or should I rather say, as you work with the benefit of hindsight, in other words, you're projecting yourself 50 years into the future, and actions you're taking today are the actions that you would look back and be proud of 50 years from now, guys. I'm suggesting, guys, picture yourself in the future. Picture yourself, let's say not even 50, 10 years from now, looking back on today. What would you like to have done? What actions, what would you like to have done to reduce the fear? What would you like to have done so that you experience less anger? What would you like to have done to contribute more to others around you? So start thinking about those sort of things. Next, guys, let's look at phase 3. So that, guys, phase 3 was then the massive sting operation where the deep state was allowed to. And then, guys, they were then permitted, all allowed to happen. Why did that have to happen? Well, that was kind of phase 3 so that we could move into phase 4 where we allowed a Manchurian candidate to occupy the office of president so that the White Hats or the good guys could destroy that old broken criminal system in order to make room for this new amazing financial, legal, not legal, but rather lawful health, business, and leadership system, sort of where we're going to be moving away from governments. Govern means control, and ment means mind, so controlling of the mind. So we're going to move away from mind control to councils of wisdom, where we're going to have very evolved, highly conscious people that'll be leading our world rather than politicians who have their own self-interest, right? And then, guys, now we're moving into phase 5. So we're going to be soon, not quite yet, but we just about, things are really fluid and moving very quickly. So I'm very happy to say that I believe that we're moving into phase 5. And phase 5, guys, is where everything starts to change. This is where things start to move from the being done in the shadows behind closed doors, because it was this trans-dimensional war, and we didn't want to give information to the bad guys, where things are going to become way more public, right? So I believe the flow of info, guys, will then be controlled by the good guys, and I think we're almost there. I mean, we've got Twitter now. Donald Trump's friend John Malone has bought CNN. Gradually, I mean, the legacy mainstream media is dying a natural death. There's a lot of natural, or should I rather say, alternate media outlets, just people operating from home, etc. Those are the media sources that we're rather relying on. So the flow of information, guys, is now controlled by the good guys. So I believe that their need to act in the shadows is over. I think information very, very soon, as we definitively enter phase 5, I believe that the flow of information is going to become really, really free. It's going to start flowing at an incredible rate. In fact, I just hope that the folk that have been under mind control, that the flow of information doesn't accelerate too much, because I think it'll be very, very traumatic. But again, guys, at some point, this information's been available. I mean, if I think back to maybe 2-3 years ago, how hard I had to dig for information. I mean, today, the information is readily available. It really, really is. But all of this points towards the Great Awakening. It points towards a future where humanity is going to have a financial system which is going to support us. We're going to have a health system which is going to support our health. We're going to look at alternate healing modalities. We're going to be even looking at not just alternative, but we're looking at technology where we're going to be using things like sonic healing. The banking system as we know it is going to completely change. I believe that banking will be done directly with a ledger system that will be located in the cloud, and there'll be no intermediary. We'll be positing our money. In other words, we will always remain in control of our money. The legal system, guys, will change from this complicated, convoluted system of where you've got two different dictionaries. You've got the Black's Legal Dictionary, and you've got then what we call the normal dictionary, and the two mean completely different things. And the reason that was designed like that, guys, was to cause confusion. So we're going to have a much more simplified legal system that's really going to be based on one premise: do no harm. Guys, we won't be required to get driver's licenses or pay taxes or property taxes. Even our banking, I don't know, our banking's either going to be free or virtually no cost. So think about how much more disposable income you'll have when, for example, one of the 6,000 patents that's going to be released to us is sonic healing, where our health is going to be incredible, so you won't have medical aid to pay. Our energy costs, guys, we're going to have vehicles that are going to run on water. We're going to have free 0 point or Tesla energy available, so no energy costs for your homes, for your businesses. Can you imagine? Your taxation is just going to be one standard 14% on non-essential. So food, blankets, water, anything, clothing that's essential, no taxation. If you buy a second-hand house, guys, no taxation. You're only going to pay taxation or 14% general sales tax on new goods purchased and not essential goods. I mean, imagine how much disposable income you're going to have. Imagine, guys, living in a place where there's no interest to be paid. There's no debt. There's no fear of debt. There's no fear of war. Guys, we're living in a beautiful place where everybody is trying to contribute and make everybody's world as amazing as possible. That's the world, guys, that we're headed to very soon. That's the world I want you to focus on. Remember, as you look into the future, imagine yourself looking back. Of course, what a powerful resource. How would you like to remember what you did today? But more importantly, guys, I want you to visualize. Picture, what do you want to have, do, and be in the future, and focus on that as many times a day as you can. And eventually, guys, you are the creator of your own future. You will bring that into existence. And we as a collective, we as humanity, as a collective consciousness, will live in the magic of life, in a place of unconditional beauty, unconditional love, and absolute abundance for everybody.